Hello, sisters. Welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast, weaving powerful, soulful practices into functional medicine. Step into this beautiful space of devotion and explore everything from nurturing foods, rituals, sexuality, and awakening your innate sensuality. It is time to own your radiance. This is the Sacred Medicine Podcast. Hello and welcome back to the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero. And if you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for listening in today. I hope you enjoy it. Today, I am so excited because it is my first male interviewee, Dr. Ralph Esposito. And we jammed on so many cool topics today, the big one being male infertility and what causes it, how to reverse it, and also how to increase libido in men. So ladies, you may want to listen up and you may want to feed your man some of these things. Get it on the menu for tonight. Order some of these supplements. Let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Ralph Esposito. Not only is he a badass, but he is a naturopathic doctor, acupuncturist, and functional medicine practitioner specializing in men's health. He has published and been a peer reviewer in some well-respected medical journals in the field of urology. He has also authored several medical textbooks and designed educational modules for healthcare professionals specializing in men's health, sexual health, and neurological conditions. So I am super excited about today's interview. I wanted to let you know that during the recording of this interview with Dr. Esposito, we had some technical difficulties, so we needed to create two separate episodes. So I hope you enjoy it. Now on to the show. Hello and welcome to the Sacred Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Margaret Romero, and today's guest is Dr. Ralph Esposito. He's a naturopathic physician and acupuncturist. And I am really excited because this is my first male interviewee, getting a little testosterone in the house. So I'm really excited that he's here.
Always need some of that.
Definitely. Well, let's see. Tell me a little bit about what you do currently, because I'm so interested. These topics that I want to cover today are, I think, super, super important because I've got a lot of women who I know who are going through infertility issues. And
right.
I just read something recently that said that 50% of men are sort of responsible for that infertility. So 50% of men have issues with infertility, which are contributing to having, it's not always the woman, which I think a lot of us have always assumed that, let's start with the women. So tell me a little bit about that.
Right. So a lot of times, or I guess historically, we would mention, you would hear a couple say, we're having issues, or they're having issues having a baby, or she can't have a baby. And a lot of the times, women kind of get the rut of the I guess their reputation is basically, oh, well, it must be the woman's fault. But actually, a lot of people don't realize that men have a big factor in this. And as I always tell people, it takes two, right? And you can't just have a baby by yourself. I mean, obviously, there are ways. I know science is finding ways now. But really what happens is about 50% of infertility cases are due to the man. And then about 30% of them are due just to solely only the male is the issue. Wow. So about 50% of all cases involve the man, so it could be the man and the woman. And then 30% of men, or 30% of the cases are just due to the male. So the woman is functioning perfectly fine. She has very healthy eggs, and it's the guy's issue that's really causing. His sperm might not be as motile, it might not be as might have different morphology. It might be some agglutination, might not have enough semen. So that's something that we really want to pay attention to in infertility cases, because I do have a lot of people, question, should I get my husband checked? Should he be checked? And that's another thing is, like, a lot of men, they don't like to go to the doctor. So
Yeah.
that is one obstacle on its own. And then to tell a man, hey, your sperm aren't, quick enough. That's kind of like it could be a low blow to some guys. Like,
Right.
wait, hold on. What do you mean? I'm fine. We're good. We
Exactly.
function. But really, that's about 9.4% of Americans, so about 11 million Americans, American men within their fertile ages are infertile. That's a
Wow,
lot
that
of
is amazing.
that's a
That's
lot.
huge. Yeah.
We can't disregard that. We really need to pay attention to that. So, I'm, as a male health expert, and expert in integrative urology, I really take a look at the male when it comes to infertility issues. What is he doing wrong? What are some issues that are going on there? What is the cause? Why aren't his sperm quick enough? And we try to address those issues from the male perspective. Assuming that the woman is perfectly fine, or she's seeing her OB for her issues as well.
And so, can you share what some of those things are that men can do to actually help to boost or even reverse
Right.
some of these infertility issues?
Well, my favorite is acupuncture. Acupuncture works really well for infertility, especially for men. The studies are mixed, but I have seen a lot of couples come in, and when you work on the male and you work on the female together with acupuncture, it you see a significant impact with those couples. Other
Mm,
things you want to do is you want to make sure that the sperm are protected, because they're very prone to oxidative stress. Um, so when they're in the testicles or being stored in the epididymis, they can be exposed to oxidants like free radicals and things like that. So we give men antioxidants from foods. My favorite source would be food. So all the colors, the reds, the green, the blues, the yellows, the purples, the
mm,
oranges, blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, apples, bananas. I'm not too big of a fan of because of the high sugar content, but we make sure we get those yellow squash and kale and spinach, and we get all those antioxidants from food. Uh,
yes.
if that's an issue, then we do, antioxidant mixes. A few good companies have, I think one of them is Designs for Health. They have something called like Paleo Reds or something like that. So any type
Hmm.
of antioxidant mixture would work really well for that. And then other things that we do, I'm a huge fan of ashwagandha. Have you used that before?
I have.
Yes, I am such a huge fan of it. Number one, ashwagandha has been used for more than centuries, thousands of years in Ayurvedic medicine as kind of like a fertility herb. It's known as a male strengthening, a male tonic. And we actually have a lot of the research now showing that it improves spermatogenesis. It increases, how much sperm is made. It increases how motile they are. It increases the quantity made, the sperm count. And actually, I really like it for increasing testosterone. It's a great herb for doing that. And in the meantime, and what I forgot to mention is that a lot of men, when they have fertility issues, they're under high stress. When number one, trying to have a baby and having issues of having a baby can be stressful on its own. But
Right.
a lot of these men, they work in Wall Street, or they work in the financial district, or they might even be exposed to high stresses like police officers or emergency workers. So they're in a high stress environment,
Right.
usually all the time. And so what ashwagandha does, it actually helps control their response to stress. So they're still going to be in that stressful environment, but ashwagandha actually allows them to control that stress much, much better. It's a
Mm.
phenomenal herb. It's definitely number one on my list.
And how
Um,
do you take, is that a capsule? Is it come in, how
it
many?
comes in capsule and it comes in powder. Now, a lot of the studies were using powder, so 5 grams of powder a day. That's what a lot of the studies were using. Some other studies were using capsules that were concentrated.
Okay.
I use both. I work with my patient and I say, hey, you could take this, half a teaspoon of ashwagandha powder and throw it in your smoothie. You really won't taste it too much. Or you can take, 2 to 3 capsules a day. Usually you want to, and if it's in the capsules concentrate extract, you want to do usually, I think it's like 3 to 500 milligrams twice a day. And you want to make sure it's standardized to withanolides because that's the active ingredient in the ashwagandha that is or we think is responsible for its fertility effects. So you want to make sure it has that. It's really important.
Is there a company that you prefer?
A lot of the study has been testing something called KSM, I believe KSM 66. So that's the study. Those are the studies that have tested the ashwagandha and found that it increased testosterone and sperm motility. I like that actual patented version. I believe Jarrow puts that out.
Oh, okay.
But more companies are starting to use the KSM. Other companies use something called Sensoril, which is a type of ashwagandha, which is another patented formula, and that works really well too. I think a lot of the professional brands use that. I use the KSM, so that's what I see people, benefit from if they want to do it in capsules. There are some other companies that just do raw crude herb in powder. So I think Banyan, they do one. But, if you could find anything on like Emerson or Amazon, they might have it there. You can use those. Just make sure it's a very reputable brand and do your research on the company first. I like Banyan, Banyan. Have you used them?
Oh, no, I've heard of them.
Yes, they do great herbs. I don't know of any other companies that do it in crude herb, but Jarrow does it in capsules. A few other companies do it in capsules. That's
and
great.
Jarrow's pretty. They're pretty much. You can find them almost anywhere, I think.
Yeah,
Jarrow.
most health food stores, Whole Foods. Yeah, and they're pretty reputable. I've spoken to a few reps and a few people at the company there, and I've got information how they source their products. They make sure they're clean, so that's really important for me. Definitely.
Great. Well, I'll also include links in the show notes as well to some of these.
Great. Yeah, that'd be good for your viewers there. Easy to find.
Yeah.
And then a few other things. I don't know if it's my second or my first favorite, but maca. Have you used that?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Maca is a phenomenal herb.
For men and women.
For men and women, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's actually for couples. I like to do a lot of my fertility treatments as couples. So if a woman's coming to me telling me she has fertility issues, I want her husband to be there as well.
Yeah, that's important.
And also if he's coming in for issues, most likely he's going to have his wife with him. But if she's not, it would be great if she's there. So I usually give them both maca to use. And maca is also one of those. Again, we're talking about this whole traditional thing. It's used it's a Peruvian root or a tuber, and it's used for increasing a libido and as a male tonic. And that actually, it doesn't impact hormonal levels, which is what I really like about it. So this is safe for people who are on, hormone replacement therapy, or perhaps they have a history of hormone-related cancers like prostate cancer or breast cancer. It does not impact hormone levels at all, which is phenomenal. We're not really sure exactly how it works, but it does increase libido. And I believe there's a few studies showing that it does help with sperm motility. So that's another herb that I really like to do. And actually, I think maca is high in zinc, if I'm not mistaken. So zinc, as you know, is a really essential mineral for men and fertility.
Yes, absolutely. Well, going back to the maca, do we have to worry about, if someone has had a history of cancer at all?
Right. Well, because maca doesn't impact hormonal levels, I'm not too concerned with giving that to a male or a female who's had breast cancer or prostate cancer. Obviously, if the male is currently undergoing treatment, he has to check with his oncologist to see if there's any interactions with his chemotherapeutics.
Okay.
But I'm not concerned about it promoting or being a risk factor
Great.
for for types of cancer. So it's very, very safe. And people are using this in high doses too. Again, this is like a teaspoon a day. That's where you'll see significant benefits. Actually, one of my instructors in med school, Eric Yarnell, who's one of the most amazing herbalists that I've ever met. He likes to dose that usually at like 5 up to 10 grams a day. So
Wow.
So even a teaspoon or more would be beneficial. But I would say start with a quarter teaspoon, see if it helps, and then you can up it. And it's safe to do long term. It has no side effects. It's a food.
Great. Yeah.
It's a food. Yeah.
And let's go back to zinc, because zinc is something that I also take that on a daily basis. But tell us a little bit about that, the dosage.
Right. So zinc is actually, a lot of people don't realize this, it's actually one of the main storage ports in the body is the prostate. So a lot of people don't realize that, and obviously the prostate is where is definitely part of fertility. There are fluids ejaculated from the prostate that actually, and the ejaculatory ducts that actually nourish the sperm. So you want to have a healthy prostate, and you want to make sure the prostate's working very well. So zinc is another mineral that's really important. And a lot of people don't realize that actually zinc is part of it's foundational in the function of androgen receptors. So testosterone receptors actually require adequate amounts of zinc in order to function properly. And testosterone is, of course, the macho, the male hormone, right? Of course, women have it too, but it's what makes men, it's what makes men feel very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say macho, but they feel vital, manly, and vital.
Okay.
So zinc is really important for that testosterone to actually work well. So you can have testosterone in your bloodstream, but you want to make sure those receptors are working well. And that's what zinc can really do. And it's really important for that, because without testosterone, sperm production it can be compromised, because testosterone is required for Leydig cells and Sertoli cells to produce sperm. So definitely important to pay attention to there.
Now, we can find zinc, there are other sources rather than a supplement?
Right. So, because we were talking about doses. So the dose that I usually like to give with zinc is I like to start low at like 15 milligrams. And then depending on how active the man is or what their lifestyle is like, I can go up to 30, sometimes 50. Really depends on where they are. I like to check their red blood cell zinc levels to make sure that their zinc levels are not too high. Because if they get too high, it actually can have the opposite effect. And it actually can be dangerous for prostate health. So you don't want to get too high. I really wouldn't go over 50.
No.
I'm not sure how much you dose it at.
15 is usually 30. Up to 30 is the max for me. For my women that I see in my practice. Right.
So for men, it's a little bit different because men may require a little bit more. But 15 is where I like to start. 30, I'll go up to 30. And usually men respond after 15 to 30 milligrams. Actually, there's one study that really impressed me, is that zinc, a lot of men, so we're in this fitness trend now, right? CrossFit is huge. People love it. Like, well, I mean, I love it too. I don't love it while I'm doing it, but I love what it does. I love what it does to my body. I love how it makes me feel. It's actually really fun. But we're in this trend where people are really working out, like, go big or go home, go as hard as you can, or, you're not going to have any benefits. Okay, fine. I have my own little argument with that as well, because we also need downtime. I think yoga is great to help restore. Yeah, I think it's great to help restore after you're doing, balls to the wall type of training, I guess. I mean, using no pun intended. But what happens is that when these men have I guess you could call it overtrained, they deplete themselves of zinc, and then their testosterone levels drop. And actually a study found that when you give men zinc after training, it prevents that drop in testosterone from overtraining.
Okay.
So it can be really important for men, especially, I'm not talking about like the weekend warrior who works out, on the weekend. We're talking about, athletes, really important for athletes. Definitely important for people who are training for, 4 to 5 times a week, really going hard. Zinc is really important for those people. And if they can't get zinc, I love Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are a great source. Um, Pumpkin seeds are a great source. So you could get them from food. And then obviously the whole. I mean, when I tell you about oysters, what comes to mind to you?
Aphrodisiac.
Exactly, right? So it's like, okay, well, and there might be some truth to that. Some people think it's a placebo. It's like, oh, I'm gonna have, chocolate strawberries and it's gonna be really sexy, and I'm gonna have oysters and that's gonna be really sexy. But oysters are very high in zinc.
Yeah, yeah.
So that might explain why they have this whole traditional thing that we were talking about, right? First the ashwagandha, the maca, and now we have oysters. I think there is some validity to it.
I would love to know if there was ever a study done that showed, I don't know, a group of people who had oysters 4 or 5 days a week, and then the people who just took zinc. I don't know how much zinc is actually in one oyster and how much. Let's just say that we're going to have like 2 oysters for every 15 milligrams of zinc, let's just say,
Okay.
and what the response is and if they both notice a difference or not.
That would be a really good study. I have a textbook chapter being published soon,
Oh, cool.
and on sexual health. It's on male andropause, and I think in that chapter we talk about. Actually, no, I'm sorry, not in this chapter. I did a module for the Board of Certified Nutrition Specialists,
Mm-hmm.
the CNS certification, and in that module we talk about certain foods that actually can be helpful for male sexual health, and oysters are in there. And I believe there's a few studies showing that the high levels of zinc in the oysters are beneficial for male health, but I don't know if they connected it to the sexual health part. We have to
Oh, I
get
see.
we have to get the oyster organization or the American Association of Oysters or something. We need to get them on it. I mean, that would be really interesting. That'd be really fun to see.
Now, so is it increasing libido? Is it increasing it's fertility, but it's also linked to libido, correct?
Zinc.
Zinc?
I'm sorry.
Do
Was
you
it
know?
was it zinc you were asking?
Is zinc related to increased libido?
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were asking about oysters or zinc. I haven't. You know what? Nothing off the top of my head comes. It makes me think about zinc being in improving libido. It definitely does improve testosterone in men who have low testosterone,
Okay.
and that can have an indirect effect as increasing libido because
Exactly.
libido in men is it's very different in women, but in men testosterone is very much connected to libido. So actually, it's funny. When I don't know if I heard this before. Who said this to me? But when you try to compare a male's sexual libido and a female's, is men think from the waist down, and the women libido is from the waist up. So it's kind of
That
like
makes sense.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
true.
it's more of a mind thing with women, and with men, it's kind of like, all right, I have this testosterone, and
And
I
I'm
have
using
that
it
drive.
right now.
Yes, and I want it now. So yeah, I haven't. I mean, testosterone is a big part. It's important. It definitely is.
You should do like a week of get your RBC zinc levels. I always do shit like this. Have a half dozen oysters for a full week, retest your RBC zinc, see what happens, but then also check to see if your libido is any different or not, or if that's changed, and then write
All
a
right,
paper about it.
all right.
Get it
Challenge
published.
accepted. Challenge accepted. I'll be the
I mean,
new.
how hard is that? Half a dozen. Now, you should probably check your, I don't know, mercury before and after, maybe.
Mike, I don't know if oysters. I don't think oysters are high in mercury because usually it would be a big fish,
Well,
right?
that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. I must admit though, I really don't like oysters.
You don't.
I don't.
Oh, well.
I don't. I don't. It's the whole texture thing. It gets to me.
Really? Even like with a little like hot sauce on there?
Can't. You can't. I've tried. I've tried. Look, I practice what I preach. I promise I do. And I'll, if I ask my patients to eat oysters, I'll tell them I will try to eat oysters. And I've tried. So when they tell me I don't like them, I back off. Go for it. I can't do it
What
either.
about clams? I know it's not the same thing, but do you eat raw clams?
No, this texture.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah,
okay.
it's not the oysters. It's the raw clams and oysters. It kind of gets to me.
Got it. Okay.
Sorry,
That's
I'm
okay.
guilty.
That, that would
Yeah,
have been a good fun study though, I think.
it would. I'll get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, you could draw some of these
Yeah,
RBCs
right. Remove my
before
whole
and
bias
after.
from that.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
smart. Definitely.
So, I've always heard of computers, laptops, iPads, and even
Right.
iPhones causing or creating issues in male's fertility.
Right.
Do you know anything about that? Have you heard or read studies on this?
So the studies have been mixed. There have been some studies suggesting that it might be an issue. I don't think there have been any definitive studies that I'm familiar with that say, you know, men who hold their cell phone in their pocket or men who have their laptop on their laps have infertility issues. But I do know that when you have, when you increase the temperature of your genital area, the testicles, that certainly can cause fertility issues for men because there's a reason why the testicles are outside the body is to keep them cooler because they, at the internal temperature of 98.6 degrees or whatever our body's temperature is, sperm, they don't function very well.
Mm-hmm.
Their spermatogenesis doesn't work very well. So keeping them outside the body, or I wouldn't say outside the body, they're still inside the body, but keeping them
Right.
away from the core, that is a big factor in keeping the temperature regulated. Now, even though I don't have a study right now, and it might be there. I should know exactly if that study has been done. But even if I don't know that study has been done, I don't want to wait 10 to 15 years for a study to tell me that holding the radiation or the electromagnetic waves from your laptop or your cell phone or your iPod or whatever it is causes infertility issues in men. I don't want to wait 15 years for that.
Right.
So I tell my patients to keep their cell phone, in their bag, keep it maybe in their back pocket, although it's not great, it's a little bit better. Maybe keep it in, like if they have a pocket in their shirt, although I don't want it close to the
I
body. So
know. I
that,
don't like that either.
right. So I compromise, right? And a lot of men are like, no, I need my phone on me. I said, okay, well, if you're walking down the street, don't keep it in your pocket, hold it in your hand, put it in your bag, put it on the table. Your laptop doesn't need to be on your lap. It's called a laptop, but doesn't mean to be on your lap. Put it on a desk. Try to keep it away from you. I actually am a big proponent of standing desks. Do you use one?
No.
Yeah, those are really great because actually I started when I was in med school because I had an impingement on a nerve in my hip. And I found that sitting is actually problematic for that. So I got I got a desk and I just put a table, a box on top, and then I put my laptop on top of that. So it was farther away from my body than it would be if I was like sitting right next to it. So I try to keep, laptops and phones away from the body, especially in men who are looking to have fertility. I mean, who are looking to get to conceive with their partner. It's really important to keep it away from the body.
Now, what if you had like a pillow and so there would be no heat?
Right. So a lot of the times, again, the pillow doesn't get rid of the radiation
That's true.
factor. But I tell men if you're laying, in bed or on the couch or something, put a pillow on top of your lap and then put the computer on top of that. So you get rid of the whole heat factor. And they notice this more in the summer. So like if they're sitting outside and they have their laptop on their lap, like and they get up, they'll be sweating all over their thighs. So that certainly can't be good. The temperature increase can't be good for fertility for men. So keep it away. And speaking on that, I think skinny jeans are a problem. I mean, I think
Oh,
the
yeah.
term is a skinny jean syndrome. It's not keeping skinny jeans are. I mean, they are they hug your testicles. I mean,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
do. So I tell men, if you wear skinny jeans, please don't wear tight underwear with them, because that's just, it's making it much worse. But you really want to make sure that you have enough breathing room down there. So if you have skinny jeans and you don't want to throw them out, try not to wear them so often. Or once you're done, at work, take them right off and put on shorts or something. So, and I see this a lot in athletes too. Like the compression shorts that athletes wear to,
Right.
that could be a problem, because I know a lot of athletes that they're wearing them all day.
Yeah, you're
That,
right.
a lot of them, I mean, professional athletes, because if they're up in the morning, they're training, so they wear compression shorts, and then they're out, in the field, or, spring training, or at the court or something like that, then they're wearing them there. And then they go home, and then maybe they put underwear on afterwards, which may be a little bit, more snug. So I usually tell my athletes, after you're done training, take them off. And look, I'm guilty too. I actually enjoy weightlifting, and when I do certain exercises like squatting and leg exercises, I like to have compression shorts to feel secure. But my workouts are 45 minutes. After those 45 minutes, I run to the bathroom and they are off.
Right.
I mean, you don't have testicles, so you don't know how it. I mean, who knows? But I'm going up the assumption that you don't. So a lot of women, a lot of men, you'll tell them like, hey, try on these compression shorts, and then after take them off, and it's like, oh, they could breathe.
Right.
You can notice. You definitely notice. I don't know. I don't know if it's the same thing for women when they wear compression shorts or yoga pants.
Oh, yeah. I don't really like the tightness. So when I come home, they're usually off and I put on something different.
Right.
But even for women, I mean, listen,
Exactly.
the vag, we need to keep it, what's the word I'm looking for without getting to be too
Aerated.
We need to keep her aerated, and, because yeast loves dark, moist areas. So we want to just keep her feeling really fresh all the time. And so, the tight jeans, like, I don't do that anymore like I used to when I was younger. I'm not.
You have like 10 years before the trend changes. So until then.
Yeah. And what about at night? I mean, I think that people should, men should, either do you tell them to sleep in the nude, or are you a proponent of that?
I actually am a proponent of that, because I believe there were some studies that men who sleep without underwear on, I think their testosterone levels, they've noticed a significant increase in their testosterone levels compared to men who, sleep with underwear on, or sleep with, very warming type of nightwear, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, because again, the testicles, they need to be in the right temperature.
Yeah.
If it's too hot, they kind of, I mean, you'll notice, I mean, they don't call it shrinkage for nothing, right? I mean, when it's like 40 degrees outside and you jump in a freezing cold pool, your testicles kind of push up, your cremaster muscle pulls them up, and they get closer to the body because they're colder. So they need to be at that right temperature. And when it's really warm outside, your testicles drop a little bit. They try to get farther away from the body. That cremaster muscle relaxes. And the same thing happens when you sleep. You want it to be well aerated, and you want it to be at the right temperature. So I am a proponent of sleeping in the nude, or even if it's not in the nude, like, you can wear like boxers that are very, very loose and, very breathable and not very constricting at all. So that's important. It's all the little things that matter. It's the little things that make a big issue. There really is no magic pill or magic therapy, but all these things together. Again, that's part of being a functional medicine practitioner, a naturopathic doctor, is I need to put everything together. I don't need a study to tell me sleeping in the nude is better for your fertility. I'm going to use my brain. I'm going to use what I know from physiology, biology, anatomy. I'm going to say, okay, through this science, I'm going to say, okay, this makes sense. And does it hurt? No, it doesn't hurt. I mean, sometimes if you are sleeping nude with your partner, that can improve fertility on its own, easy access, right?
Right.
So, I mean, there's all benefits to it. I'm a fan of that.
Now, we were talking about this a little bit earlier before the interview, but you did mention something about hot and cold therapy.
Oh, yes, yes. Hydrotherapy.
Hydrotherapy.
Hydrotherapy, yeah. So what we do, it's one of the actually founding or one of the building blocks of naturopathic medicine is we use water as therapy. So people don't really realize it, but a jacuzzi is actually healing in ways. It has its own warm water helps. And athletes, after their training, they jump in an ice pool
Right.
or an ice bath, right? That actually helps. I think it's David Asprey. Do you know David Asprey from
Yeah.
Proof?
Bulletproof. Yep.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's great. I love this whole like hacking the body, and that's really what I'm into. Like,
Yeah.
how can I make my body work better? And I think he does like these cold cryo chambers where he just has his head
Hmm.
outside, and
Yeah.
he sits in this like freezing cold chamber, and it helps increase metabolism, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other benefits for it, but and things that your listeners can do, men and women, but especially men, um, is they can they take a hot shower. A lot of men take hot showers, and then they just get out of the shower and they're still at that hot temperature. At the end of the shower, put on the cold water and just stand underneath the cold water for 20 seconds. Start with 10 seconds, then work your way up. You're going to love the way it feels. It activates and relaxes the autonomic nervous system. It's very, very relaxing. It's, again, kind of like CrossFit. It kind of sucks when you're doing it, right? But but afterwards you feel so relaxed. It's kind of like a meditative type of thing. And in traditionally in Germany, where naturopathic medicine was found, is they would actually hose people down with like how you have a hose in your backyard for the
Yeah.
garden. They would
Yeah.
hose people down with cold water, and they found it to be therapeutic. Very different from how my brother used to hose me down in the
Oh
backyard,
my
and yeah, he kind of that's a little bit intentionally abusive.
Well,
Um,
have you ever been to, there are a couple places that I can think of now that have cold plunges. And so there's a couple of spas in the city that'll be with lots of hot tubs, and then they'll have a cold plunge, which is about between 50 and 60 degrees. Also, Kripalu, which is up in the Berkshires, which is a yoga center, has a fantastic, huge hot tub, and they also have a cold plunge there. And when I was a member of Equinox in the city, they also, I don't know if all of the locations have it, but the one I went to on 66th Street in Lex, was it 66? No, it was 63rd in Lex. They had that as well. And so I know that it works really well if you have been working out. It's really great. It's also great for the immune system as well.
oh,
I've heard a lot about cryotherapy, and it can also helps you to lose some weight. It helps the cardiovascular system, and so many benefits to that.
yeah, I believe it. I certainly believe it because it works. The body needs to respond, and in order for change to be made, you need some type of stimulus, and that sounds awesome. I need to get on that. I haven't done that. That sounds like fun.
So wait, so men should not really go into the hot baths if
So
there's an issue, or
yeah, I mean, simply put, I would say yes. For men who are looking to conceive, or have a child with their partner, I would tell them, look, stick away from the hot tubs for a little bit. Because hot tubs are really, I mean, they're really hot. A hot tub is different than taking a hot shower. I mean, assuming you're not sitting underneath the hot shower for 15 minutes with the hot
right,
water, blasting on your genitals, on your
right,
balls. I mean, that's not,
right.
that's not what a shower does. But a hot tub is exactly that. You're exposing your testicles to hot temperatures for a prolonged period of time, and it's not healthy. No, I definitely tell men. I mean, look, I'm not saying don't go in the hot tub ever, but if a lot of women, they use their phones to track when they're fertile
Yeah,
and like when they'll ovulate. So I mean, if a hot tub or the hot sauna is a mandatory thing, I tell them like, look, if you're going to do that, like, don't do it a week before you guys plan on, having sex, because it can certainly have an impact on fertility.
Now, is this also the same with like saunas and things like that, or like infrared saunas?
So infrared saunas, the heat is a little bit different. So the actual temperature can reach that high, and it depends on how high the body temperature will get. I Just to be safe, I would say yes. And again, there's ways to work around it. Make sure the timing is different. If you want to do it, don't do it for as long.
Right.
And then after, take a cold shower.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
And you trust me, I know it sounds crazy. Like, why would I take a cold shower in the middle of the winter? But it actually is therapeutic. Trust me on this one.
I've tried the cold plunges and I'm a
You
little
have.
bit of a wuss, but
Okay.
I do it and I come right out. I don't hang out in there or anything like that. I don't think you're
Right.
supposed to. I think you go
Right.
in and you walk out.
Walk into the cold.
No, walk into the cold plunge pool.
Okay. Right.
But
Yeah. So
typically that's after, sitting after having had sat in a hot tub.
right. And how long were you in the hot tub for?
I don't know, it varies. I mean, I'm longer in the hot tub than I am in that cold plunge.
Exactly. Yeah. And
So
that's the great thing about the showers. It's only 30, it's 30 seconds hot, 30 seconds cold, 30 seconds hot, 30 seconds cold. So, I mean, if you could, again, no pun intended, if you could man up and handle the 30 seconds of cold, it makes the 30 seconds of warm feel so much better. And then, once you go back to the cold, it's like, oh man, this is crazy. And then you go back to the warm, it's very therapeutic. It's very easy to do at home. I mean, who doesn't have a minute to just do 30 seconds hot, 30 seconds cold, and you're out? Always finish cold, though. Rule of
yeah,
thumb:
I've
always
always
finish
heard
cold.
that. Always finish cold. Yeah.
Always finish cold, because the body will warm itself up.
Right.
So that's really important.
Well, the next time I head to a spa that has a cold plunge, I'm going to have to invite you. And you probably won't be able to. Well, maybe you'll hang out in the hot tub for a while, but
Yeah, yeah. Or if I'm not able to come there, I want you to, take a video recording of it and say, "Hey, this is for Ralph." You
we'll
you need
see how
to.
long you can manage in that cold plunge. It's no
Oh,
joke.
yeah, I don't blame you. We did that in med school first year. We had a cold plunge into a cold lake, and I was like, I am not doing this. Sorry, a polar plunge they call it. They do that here in I
Oh,
think
yeah.
in Brooklyn they do it. I don't know where they do it.
Yeah.
In Long Island.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not a fan of that in the cold
Oh, no,
winter,
I
because
could never do that.
in TCM, in Chinese medicine, because I am an acupuncturist, cold can be damaging. So if you expose the body to too much cold, it can actually enter the body and cause cold type of patterns, and it can cause issues. So you don't want to
Hmm.
do it for too long. It's
Right.
it's a it's a flash plunge. That's why 30 seconds. I'm not talking about sitting in a cold bath for an hour. It's
Yeah.
very different.
Going back to something you mentioned about the computers, I don't know if you've ever heard of these like earthling pads. I
I
have one.
haven't.
You haven't? You have not?
No, I have. No, I haven't.
They go underneath my computer. I think that like David Wolf sells it on his longevity site, and they're great. It has a wire that you plug into. It's like a grounding wire, and it helps to decrease the amount of, I believe, radiation that's coming out of your computer. And I have it under my computer, but you can also have it on the ground, and it can ground you if you're like reading your iPad on your lap.
Oh,
If you have it on the ground and your feet are touching it, then it grounds you, which is really cool. So I'll put
wow.
that link in the show notes as well.
So I think I've seen those for cell phones. Am I mistaken?
I know they have something for cell phones as well.
Okay. Okay.
This is like
Yeah.
a black pad that lays, I don't know, like maybe a foot and a half across and a foot
Oh.
in height.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Really interesting. Always open to those type of things.
Yeah, it definitely, I feel that it significantly has helped with any fatigue. Like I could be in front of my computer for hours sometimes working and I don't feel tired. So
Wow.
that's one of the biggest things I've noticed. My eyes don't get tired. I don't feel tired.
I know we're this age where we have to work, right? You have to get these things done. But anything that can help, I'm all for it. As long as it's safe, I'm down.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And to learn more about Dr. Esposito and for all the show notes, go to margaretromero.com/episode 9. And also be sure you listen in on episode number 10, which is part 2 of this episode. Thank you so much for listening and have a beautiful day.